For the past 4 years or so, my brother and I have been going to PAX East up in Boston, the video game convention. For those of you who do not know what PAX East is or any of the PAXs are, we've had good times for the last couple years. Every single year we've been thoroughly impressed with what's been there. We've had a lot of fun. We've found new games. We found things that met new people, had really good experiences. And not to say that this year we didn't. It was extremely underwhelming. PAX East has been one of the greatest points in my life, and one of the greatest times that I take every single year off to go to this. This is like mine and my brother's thing. We take this weekend off in April or March. And we go up to Boston and we enjoy ourselves at this video game convention to see our favorite YouTubers, Twitch streamers, any new video games that come out. It just seemed like this year was extremely underwhelming for a variety of different reasons. A lot of the big developers were not even present at PAX this year. And I was talking to a couple people in line when we were getting food, and I learned that a lot of the reasons why these companies were not present at PAX this year was because of their budget cuts. Apparently, a lot of these big tier level game developers lost a lot of budget for their marketing teams, so they weren't able to promote themselves at these events. This goes for companies and I'm not saying that these are the companies that got budget cuts, but what I'm saying is these are the companies that didn't show up to PAX this year. It was Bethesda, YouTube, Twitch, Blizzard wasn't even there. I don't even think Alienware was there, and that's they've been there every single year since. So it's not even just development companies, as in video game development companies, it's also production companies like hardware companies and platform companies that aren't even there. Mixer took the streaming side of things this year, which was kind of sad. Every time you walk by that booth, you'd hear that really dumb air horn, and it was really stupid. But it was really sad that all of these big name companies weren't even here this year, and a lot of the people that are associated with those companies were not here either, which is also a separate point that I'll get to later. But a reason why I think that a lot of these companies and the bigger companies aren't showing up, especially like Twitch and Blizzard, is because they have their own conventions that they're trying to push as well. You got BlizzCon and you got TwitchCon. They're not going to try to push any other convention when they have their own specific thing that they already have and that they're already trying to push and have people come to. So why would they promote themselves at a third-party convention when they can get you to come to their own and pay money to go to their own if you're really that invested into it? Which I can see as a decent marketing tool or whatever, but it just made the whole experience underwhelming. It really did. It was really sad not to see Twitch's booth this year, or YouTube's booth this year, or even just Blizzard's huge freaking booth that they have every year, Bethesda's big booth. None of them were there. It was really underwhelming. And I'm going to say that a lot throughout this video, but it was so true. There was a lot of indie developers there, but it just wasn't the same. And the sad part, like I said, Mixer took over the streaming side of things, but then Facebook jumped in and bought the biggest area of this entire complex. I think it rented out for $30,000 a day. Either way, Facebook and Mixer were your two biggest platforms that were there, social media platforms that were promoting themselves. Mixer, who doesn't really have that much of an audience, and Facebook, who is just trying to weasel their way into the gaming scene. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of new and upcoming YouTubers and streamers that are jumping onto the Facebook platform because Facebook is offering them business, is offering them a platform that they're going to promote them on, which is very nice and helpful. But these aren't, nobody goes, I'm gonna go watch my favorite Facebook streamer. Nobody says that. And if you do, it was just weird to see that there was nothing accommodating for any of the big actual platforms. And going along with that, let's talk about how the people that are on those platforms weren't even there. We had barely any representation of any YouTubers or Twitch streamers even at the convention. And when they were there, it was like a handful of them. I'll read off the names. I'll go through the days. So on Thursday, FaZe was there. FaZe Clan was there on Thursday. I don't even think tickets were sold out on Thursday. And they had FaZe Clan there. So there's that. Jacksepticeye was on Friday. He had a panel, or like his whole show, and then I think a signing on Saturday. So you had Jacksepticeye there representing the YouTube community. You had Crank Gameplays, who is there every single year, and same with Jack. They both have been there for the last 2-3 years that we've gone to their panels before and their signings and stuff like that. So we know that they've been there. Crank had a panel on Saturday and a signing on Friday. For a group of other big YouTubers, we had Smitty, Wildcat, 407, and then Big Jiggly Panda. They all had a signing of their own as well on, I think, Saturday. Yeah, on Saturday, which was, again, these are decent-sized YouTubers, and I met Smitty before. He's a very nice dude. I think they were all waiting for their Uber when we stumbled upon him, or my brother actually stumbled upon him last year. And they were very nice, very, very clean. I wasn't gonna show his video of like his face, but he's been posting stuff on his Instagram, so I'll show it right now. The other person that I saw was a really small YouTuber that they were promoting, which is really cool. Like I'm really happy that they do that. Is Gerbeegly, I think that's how you pronounce his name, and he's got 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is really good. Like it's really awesome that they're promoting these small people, but the representation is still not there. It's not there at all. The amount of people that did not go to PAX this year is astounding. There's so many people that just like, PAX. I heard that there's not going to be that many big developers, big things this year. Let's take the year and save our money, which is so sad because so many people go to this to just interact with everybody, and they're the people that they look to and they watch and everything, and yet they don't show up, which again, it's no offense to them, but like it just adds to the fact that the entirety of PAX East was extremely underwhelming. Another thing that I want to note is that games were all the same. There's only so much of a platform 8-bit story game that I can handle with a weird, like, dark vibe. It seemed like every single indie developer was just doing that, which is fine. I mean, everybody's gonna be like, you gotta watch the storyline and like play for the story, not necessarily for anything else, and just like what it looks like. You're judging a book by its cover. I get that, but there were just a handful of games that stood out to me in general that I'll get to later, but it just seemed like everything was the same. And my brother agreed with me. Everything is the same 8-bit just platformer, you know? And like I bet the stories are nice, and if you're somebody that plays those games, it's like it's cool, but it just seemed like everything was a copy of one another in some sort of way, or there was no variety in a lot of things when you look at it from face value and you just look at it walking through the different halls. Everything seemed generically the same. There were, again, and I'll get to this at the end when I go, hey, this wasn't all that bad. There were a few games that I really did appreciate, and I would like to share to you, but you gotta wait until the end of the video, or if you're that guy that skips through, go for it. But another thing I wanted to just note on, and it's for future reference of this convention, and to anybody that wants to go, I would like to say that it's a great opportunity to meet people, to talk to friends, to involve yourself in the gaming community. That it's just a great time, and there's a reason that my brother and I have consistently went every single year, and we're always so eager. It's such a day when I have the tweets for PAX on notification for my phone. So this year I was in class and I got the notification, and my brother started calling me, and I was like, shit. And I had to get on, and I bought Saturday, Sunday tickets like I always do. And that was our thing, and it's continued, and it will continue to be our thing. I don't think this year's underwhelming, like, overall behavior or whatever is gonna deter us from coming back next year. But I just hope that it's not going to be the same, because potentially if it is next year, I don't know how much more I'm going to be willing to go to PAX East specifically. I will continue to go to gaming conventions for the rest of my life. It's something that brings me back into the culture, and it's something that I grew up with, and something that I really admire, like, calling myself a part of. I love to say I'm a part of this community, and I have an investment into it. It's something that my brother and I have been doing for so long, and it just brings me joy. It just brings me so much joy to go to this convention. And even though, again, like I said, even though it was a bit underwhelming, I still had a good time, and I got to show new people. I brought my girlfriend, and my brother brought one of his best friends to this, and we got to show them what it's like to go to this and experience this side of gaming culture, and how many people are actually so invested, and how nice certain people are. I jumped back and I saw a friend we made, which is in a previous video of mine for the Skate 4, the Red Point, Andrew. Hi, if you're watching this. Great dude, and it's always a pleasure to see him. Just random people we meet in line for just like seeing things or signings or even just food. This year we were standing getting food, and one of our friends left the line and then like had to find us, and we all waved, and then the guys behind us waved and to help us, and then we just started talking, and then we exchanged emails, and I exchanged emails. It's just such a cool thing. And if you have any interest in video games or the video game culture, or have any interest in the pop culture of YouTube, Twitch, or anything like that, I highly recommend a PAX convention. If it's in your area, within your price range, definitely check it out at least once, and then go from there. To those of you who were at PAX for the first time this year, just know that it's not always this underwhelming, and the previous years are so much cooler that I've been a part of. The people you see, the things you get to do, people you meet, it's awesome, and I would highly recommend it. But to now, the video games that I would suggest. First is Mr. Mart. Mr. Mart is a VR game where you're essentially a cashier at a grocery store, and you just have to like return items that certain customers bring to you as they're frustrated. And if they have an item that you're not supposed to return, like, it'll give you the option of like what things so you can get the most points. You just bop them, you just punch them, and you can grab the people and throw them, and you take the objects and throw them, or you put them in the basket to return. It's awesome. It's a great game, and I highly recommend it if you have VR. The second game is Foundation. Foundation it's a little bit pricey for, at least for me. I know these days $60 games are like the norm, but like even a $30 game as Foundation is, it seems like another version of Banished. But I asked the person, one of the creators of it, what his opinions are with the comparison between the two, and he said that it's like in Banished you're focused on survival, and in Foundation your focus is on building up a society, which is really cool. And I've been looking for a game that plays like that, and I'm really excited to see it and try to finagle with it and play around with it and see how much of a learning curve there is, because I'm not smart. The third game I want to talk about is What the Golf. If you like fun little mini game based around the same idea, it's just a golfing game where your golf ball changes to very odd things, like a bike, or an actual, like, you take the pole that goes in for golf, and it's a lot of different things. It's really quirky, it's really funny. They make other video game references within the game. It's really cool if you are into that sort of thing. There are two other games that are like I could see them doing something like a lot more than just being a fun little game to play by yourself or with your friends. But these games are more in depth, a lot more in depth. Splitgate Arena Warfare. As it said on the sign, it's if Halo met Portal. It's a team v team. You can do capture the flag, whatever, and just like how you did when you were 10, 15 years old playing Halo for the first time on matchmaking. But instead, you can throw down portals to add to the confusion or the execution of your kills. It's so much fun. We got to play it. I see it doing things. I see it going pretty far. If it's picked up, it's sad that Halo is about to release everything onto Steam. So that'll be interesting because it's supposed to come out, I think, spring of this year, a little bit in the future. It's definitely something to check out or look into. It's very cool, and it's PC based. It's just something that I thought was really cool, and it caught my eye and it caught my brother's eye, and we tried it out, and it was good. It was a good time. It's a bit of a learning curve of understanding like the different maps and trying to figure out how the portals work, because that was a bit much to play at one time and like trying to figure that out. That was a lot, but at the same time, I enjoyed it. And the last game, I gotta pull up the email real quick. So the game is called Lemniscate. It's essentially it's really hard to explain, but basically what it is capture the flag, where you grab a flag and you bring it back to your base, but you only have like, I think it's like 20-30 seconds, and then it restarts. But that character that you played with continues to do the same thing in a loop unless disturbed by the opponent in the next like looping round. So every time you play, your character will loop the same exact action. So it's a strategy of grabbing a flag or destroying the other player grabbing that flag. So every time in the next rounds, that player is going to die in that same position unless your player dies first and then continues the loop. It's a lot. It's a lot of like figuring out, thinking, strategizing, as well as also preparing yourself to be killed. So at the end of a round, if you, or right as you're about to pick up a flag or whatnot, if you shoot to try to defer anybody from attacking you, because it'll loop. So every time you go up to the flag, you're going to shoot. So it's just like a really interesting game that we played, and the developers were very nice about it and very intriguing. There's a few things that we talked about that they're attempting to fix that I just saw off the bat when we were playing, like there's a sliding mechanism, like how when you run you can slide into something, but the problem is when you slide you're stuck in a crouch position, so you have to get back up, so which would be nice if it was a little more smooth, so you just slide and pop back up, which I talked to him and he was like, yes, 100%, we've been talking about that for a while, so definitely you're not the only one that said that, so which was cool. But again, it looks promising. That is my PAX East spiel. I hope you enjoyed. I know it was probably hella long, and yeah, I appreciate you, and I hope that you will stick around for the next video. God bless, and I'll see you soon. Say goodbye, circle. Goodbye. 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 Bye. See you later. Thank you for watching. Kawaii desu.